In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to automate an action within Sports Photo Automation to create an effect on your composite. And in this case, we'll be doing the PixSnub HDR effect action. So it's very simple to batch process an action in Sports Photo Automation, although you have to make sure your action is set up properly. I'll be discussing that in just a minute. But to actually run this, it's very simple. So you set up your Sports Photo Automation as normal. You click on the Run Action on Final Composition. And in the case of the HDR actions that we just released, there are two sets of actions specifically already set up for Sports Photo Automation. So I'm just going to grab the one that I want to use. And after I demonstrate this, I'm going to show you how to select the proper action to match your template. But these are already set up, so all you have to do is hit run, and it's going to apply those actions during the batch. Okay, so I've got Sports Photo Automation in pause mode here, just so we can see it. And in the SPA setup layers here is our SPA layer, which is now disabled because the action actually disabled that. And the action does that way it doesn't double up on the edges, so any edge fringing isn't going to get doubled up on if you have any type of imperfections in the edge. But you can see that here is the effect that it applied. I chose for this a fairly subtle HDR type effect, but with this set of actions, there's a whole variety of strengths and radius of the effect that you can apply. But I mean, it's just that simple. So make sure to actually watch the rest of this video, because I'm going to now show you how to select the proper action to run. I'm just going to abort this here. All right, so I'm going to open the template up as, you know what, I don't have the right one open up here, so let me, here we go. So we've got our SPA setup layers here. Now, if you're familiar with these actions, you probably have a pretty good idea of what you want to run. After you use them a few times, you'll pretty much know the effects that you're going to get. And in the case of the ACR actions, that's the Adobe Camera Raw actions, you're going to get the same effect, and it's not going to differ based on the size of the image, or in this case, the size of the template. However, with the non-ACR actions, depending on the size of your template and how large the image is going into it, the effect will look different in different sizes of templates given the same size. So in a smaller template, you might need a radius to be smaller, and in a larger template, to get the same effect, you'll need the radius to be larger. So it's always best to test it inside of your template. And before we do that, if you don't have a player sample image already in there, if you just have the green man, you're going to want to go into your template setup and hit Add Custom Player Sample Image, and then find an image you want to add, and just click that, so that way you have your own image inside the template, which I already did here, but that's just how you do it. If you need to, you add the Custom Player Sample, you put the player in there. Then when you want to test an action, make sure you're using the ones that are for SPA layers, because the ones that are for the SPA automation here, the first step is to select the SPA layer. And so if you already have it selected, the other actions will run. However, if you don't have it selected, it's going to build it in the wrong spot, and it may throw an error. As well as when you're running SPA, if you run one of the ones that don't say for SPA, then it may not be on the player layer to start with, because depending on what SPA is doing and what you have it doing, it may not end up there. So whenever you're working with SPA automation, just make sure you're using these ones that say for SPA. That way you know that it's selecting the player layer. And then also in the ones that are the non-ACR, these create an additional layer group, so they're also going to hide the SPA layer when they're done, as I talked about a minute ago. So I'm just going to select one to run and try it out. And I used 15 radius strength equals weak, but let's try something different. Let's try the 25 strength or radius equals 25 strength equals standard. Because I want to show you what to do if you grab one that you don't want to use and you want to try something else. So you see in this effect might be a little bit strong with the radius a little bit too wide. That may be what you're looking for, it may not. But if you don't like the effect you got and you want to try a different one, it's very important that, now I'm working in the non-ACR actions. I'll talk about the ACR ones in a minute, but with these, they build a layer group above the SPA layer and they turn the SPA layer off. So if you want to test a different one, you'll have to turn the SPA layer back on, and then you'll have to throw away this whole group. So that way you get your layer stack back to the normal state. And then I'm just going to grab another one, and in this case I remember that I like the radius equals 15, strength equals weak, so I'm just going to apply that. And once you find the one you want to go with, at this point you want to make sure you don't save the template like this with this additional layer group in there and with this player layer off. So if you need to resave your template for some other change you made, make sure before you do that you turn this back on and throw this away. Or else you can just close and not save if you didn't make any changes that need saved. Now for the ACRs, these are a little bit easier, and if you want less hassle, if you always just stick with these, you're going to pretty much know what you're going to get, because depending on the size of your template, it's not going to change the effect you get. Strength 5 will always give you the same look regardless of template size. And I'll just demonstrate here by putting the ACR action in. And the reason why that is because Adobe Camera Raw, it self-adjusts based on the size of the image, so it's not going to be affected by the size when you run the action. That's why you don't see different radiuses here, because there is no radius to choose in Adobe Camera Raw. It does all those adjustments automatically. So let's say you wanted to use a different one. Let's say you thought this was not strong enough and you wanted something stronger. What you want to make sure you don't do is try something else and leave the original smart filter in there, because each time you run this, it's going to add a smart filter. And you see now you got 2 Camera Raw filters. So you're not seeing the effects of the last run, you're seeing the effects of both of them. And the reason it's adding this in a smart filter is because the SPA layer is in a smart object. So I'm just going to throw these away. You can throw them away one at a time or throw all the smart filters away. Alright, so now you can test the one you want again after you've thrown it away and see the effect of the one you want. And again, once you find the action you want, you know which one you want to run. That's the one you'll want to automate when you run your batch. But make sure, again, you don't save the template with this Camera Raw filter in here, because if you do, it's going to add an additional one, as we just saw what happens when 2 are stacked together. If you save it with this Camera Raw filter on, and you run it in batch, you're going to get double the effect. So if you have to save your template, make sure you throw that away. Or if you've not made any changes that need saved, just don't save it and you'll be fine. So then when you go to run your batch, just make sure in your action, so you check your action on again, grab the set that you want, and then grab the action that you want based on the test that you did in your template, so you know which one is going to give you the look you want, and then just hit run. One more thing while we're talking about actions, I did briefly mention this, but if you're recording your own actions you want to run in SPA, just make sure the first step of your action is recorded to select that SPA player 1 layer, because if it's not, and you're running SPA, let's say you're doing memory mates, it's going to end up on the team image, or if you're putting a logo in, it may end up on your logo image when it comes time to run the action. And if you don't have this select player layer in there, it's going to apply the effect to the wrong layer. But with these actions that you're getting from Pixnub, these ones that are for SPA automation here, these are already set up properly, so you don't have to do anything to the actions. The only thing you need to do is figure out which one to run and then put it into your batch processor, and it will apply without any difficulties.